Okay, so I'm taking off on a ride here in Utah County. I'm here in town for a concert and to visit my brother. I thought I'd get a good ride up to Provo Canyon. This is the second time I'm riding with my bike computer, my new Garmin, and first time just kind of testing it out. I was still trying to figure out how to use it. I have a lot of things about it I don't know yet, but it's actually quite nice, all in all. I especially like the climb feature to give me an idea of how well I'm climbing and the steepness level to anticipate. So this is a beautiful trail, by the way. Really well maintained and beautiful ride here along the bench of the mountain. I've done this ride a couple of times. And nice thing is it's a nice gradual incline, nothing hugely steep, and there actually aren't too many road crossings, well, 3 or 4. You know, it's kind of funny. I used to ride with nothing attached to the bike. Just, well, not naked, but nothing attached to the bike. Now I have my phone, so I can listen to music. I have my bike computer. I have a bell, although interestingly the bike computer has a pretty good bell to it, as you can hear. I like it, so I might not put a bell on my new bike, but then I also of course have this action cam set up and mic, and I guess, you know, as time goes on, being somewhat of a former technologist, I'm always looking for new technology to aid me. And I resisted the bike computer for a while, thinking that it didn't really matter. And, to a large extent that's true. Biking is biking. But, so the evolution of this was that this summer in Wyoming, there have been a lot of days when it wasn't really practical to ride, either mostly from high wind, 20-mile-an-hour winds, which, I could ride, but it kind of zaps the fun out of it. Oh, beautiful red barn there. So I wanted something that would allow me to ride on days when the weather wasn't convenient in Wyoming. And so I bought one of these smart trainers. Which you hook a bike onto, you take the back wheel off and hook a bike onto it, and then you train indoors. And I signed up for Ruvi, and I must say it's pretty impressive. And one of the things I liked about it was the advanced intelligence on the hills that you climb. Would tell you how difficult they are. And while, you can tell that by just looking at the hill, of course, it's actually quite convenient to have that information and to judge how much energy to expend on the hill. So I really appreciated that and decided a couple of days ago, about a week ago, that a bike computer that gave me that same information in real life instead of the virtual world would be quite useful. And then, I started looking at them, and, there's some fairly inexpensive ones. As in the couple $100 range. But I decided I wanted something, the best, which I tend to do. If I'm going to spend money, I figure I ought to get the best. It will last a long time. Hopefully that's true. So I got the Garmin 1050. And I had been using my watch to track my rides. It's all convoluted though. I would use Strava as my ultimate repository of rides, but I would actually track it with Samsung Health. And mainly because Strava didn't really give me the information on the watch screen that I wanted. And maybe there was a way to personalize it, but it just didn't seem to be as useful as what I got using the Samsung Health app. So I switched over to using the Samsung Health app, and then that would automatically upload to Strava. And I would upload like pictures and things like that on Strava, not on the Samsung app. So now I'll track my rides with Garmin, which I have it set up to also upload to Strava, and I don't know if Strava will then sync it to Samsung Health. I don't know. Not that I really need it there anymore, I'm just curious. A lot of people. I think I've usually taken this trail in the afternoon to the late afternoon, never in the morning. Granted, you know, it's only 11. 2.5 miles in. But you know, I'm not really a morning person. So 11 a.m. is still morning for me. So, it's interesting how biking is kind of a constant evaluation of your gear and how to make things more effective. And you know, I'm not a racer or anything, I just enjoy the biking, although I do appreciate when I'm able to improve my performance. So there have been several things that I have been constantly evaluating. And certainly, you know, tracking the ride with GPS is one. The intelligence you get from your speed, your heart rate, etc. is quite useful. With this Garmin, I bought a heart rate monitor actually for the Ruvi, and I can use it with the Garmin. So for example, I mean, this is a fairly easy ride right now. I've got a 119 heartbeat, which is not bad. 3 miles in. But so a couple of other areas that I've sort of rat-holed in, constantly evaluating and improving. Number one is the bike saddle. So I'll bet I have 20 saddles that I've tried over the years. You know, it's been interesting. Some have been good, some have been a total waste. And I would say that issue is still evolving. so far, my favorite saddle is called the Infinity. And the thing I like about the Infinity is most saddles, you end up with your pressure point is your sit bones. And, you know, everybody's different. They're closer together or farther apart, deeper, shallower. And so that's why it's so hard to find a seat that really fits you. Well, the Infinity seat takes that issue out of the equation in that it really is sort of the outline of a seat. So where your sit bones are, there's nothing. And the pressure is actually distributed around the edge of the seat completely, which is very different than almost every other seat out there, where the sit bones end up getting a majority of the pressure. And what I found over the years is that I'm fine for about 2 hours. Most seats are okay for 2 hours, but anything over 2 hours and that starts to become quite uncomfortable. Well, so far this Infinity seat, I haven't gone much past 2 hours, but I have had no problems like I had before. Also had a lot of problems with saddle sores, which would take me off the bike for a week or two. Whenever they flare up, you just really can't ride. So unless the saddle sore is right on the edge where there's pressure, then I don't have to worry about it, because I can ride with saddle sores if there's no pressure on them. So, and most of my saddle sores have come kind of in the crevice there between the thigh. So really it hasn't been a problem. So I really like this seat. That's the one I'm riding on today. But I found in general I like something with a cutout or a space in between. Personal preference, it just cools down the area a little better. Not as much pressure on the perineum. So, you know, in general, I really like that. But now I'm flirting with the Brooks saddle, and if you don't know, the Brooks saddle is a leather saddle, and the idea with that saddle is twofold. First, it creates a cradle that the leather is stretched over. Which is, the idea is to spread out the pressure evenly with that cradle between the front and the back of the seat. So there's no support other than the very thick, 1/4 inch or more leather. It's quite thick and quite hard. So that's one theory. The second theory is that the leather is somewhat malleable, and over time it basically molds to your posterior, so that your seat molds to you individually. And so, in a sense, after about 1,000 miles or so, you end up with a custom seat. And so far, because I've been waiting on my new hotshot bike, the KHS racing bike with electronic shifting, which is in the shop still because the electronic shifting didn't work. I plan on putting that on that bike, but in the meantime I put it on the trainer, the smart trainer. And so I've done maybe half a dozen rides on that so far. So I bought that Brooks, and I plan on putting that on the new bike. I'll ride that down in Florida mostly, since I won't get it until I leave. Get the bike back until I leave. So but I also bought a couple of Brooks saddle knockoffs from AliExpress. They were like $30 compared to 150. So I thought I'd try them. Here's the New Linden Temple. I don't think it's open yet. It might be. No, I don't think so. Very dramatic, especially in the evening around dusk when the lights are on. It's quite dramatic. So another area where I'm constantly tinkering is bike fit. And what I mean is several things. And there is sort of endless tinkering with that, although once I find something that feels good, I tend to just leave it. But it's hard to translate that to a new bike, so you have to kind of tinker. So, so bike fit has to do with the position of your seat forward to back, the height of your seat, the position of your handlebars up and down, So also the position of your handlebars forward and back. And the idea is you want to remove all the numb parts on your rides. So I've had trouble in 3 areas, which happen to be the 3 areas where your body attaches to the bike, namely your hand or palms, your ass, of course, with the saddle, and then, of course, the feet is the 3rd area. And so you can adjust the angles of how far forward you lean, how upright you sit, how much pressure you put on each of those. And the idea is to adequately distribute the pressure so that no single contact point is receiving an abnormally large amount of pressure. Of course, the whole problem is, since I'm heavy, there's an abnormally large amount of pressure on everything. So, I would say I can change the position of my hands. That's why I like the drop bars. It gives me more options for changing my position, and I'm sort of constantly doing that, which alleviates a fair amount of the numbness that you get. You know, sometimes, well, you know, I'm just constantly adjusting. So, and then on my feet, I used to use clip-ons, and I really didn't like them. And so now I use flats. And so I can change the position of how my feet connect to the pedals, which helps with that. But of course, short of standing up and riding, there's not much you can do with your saddle and your posterior there. So go ahead. You got the baby, you got the right of way.
I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, you too. Interesting intersection there. So I used to put my saddle all the way back. And the idea was that I have a very long torso and shorter legs. And I usually buy a large bike, And I really probably should buy a medium and then just have a higher seat post. Because that would fit my legs better. So, but this works, you know, I haven't really had too much of a problem, although I have almost no seat post exposed. But what I've found, especially the last really year and a half, is that it does actually feel better if I move the seat about in the middle. So it's slightly more forward than how I used to do it. And I think that helps take some of the pressure off my hands. Because of the change in angle of the body, slight though it is. But it is completely possible that all that's happened is that I've acclimatized to the entire idea and position of riding, and my body has adjusted to that. So all these little adjustments and improvements are nothing more than my body's natural adjustment, instead of one being superior to the other. You know, it's funny, I remember when I first started riding, I asked my friend Darren, who was the person I knew who rode the most, about his philosophy of shifting. And of course, you know, it can be very basic. Well, shift down when you go up hills. But I was looking for something more robust. More detailed. Of course, Darren told me shift down when you want to, and that it's better to shift down early was the one piece of advice he gave, which I tend to agree with. It's better to go faster pedaling in a lower gear than exerting more pressure at a smaller gear. But you know, you've got questions about when to use she's lapped me now. When to use the front shifter in conjunction with the back. And to be honest, I still haven't come to a conclusion on that. Although what I tend to do is, when approaching a steep hill, I'll stay in a higher gear a little too long, and then shift into the lower gear, or the front gear, because you get that immediate 2 gear or so change, which works pretty well. Then you can kind of attack the hill when it's steep, and so that seems to work. Interestingly, many of my bikes the front gear wouldn't easily shift back onto the larger sprocket. So I tended not to use them, because oftentimes I'd have to get off the bike and shift it with my hands, which means stopping, getting your hands all dirty, oily. So this bike right now, though, shifts very well. I finally got on YouTube and looked for here we are at the end road here. This is great. So now I'm heading up the canyon. Done 8 miles, or just shy of it. Average 13.4 miles per hour, that's not bad. So there's 8 miles. $79 feet of ascent. So anyway, lots of tinkering on the bike. And another area, ancillary but related, is keeping a drink cold. So my throat and mouth tend to get dry while I'm riding, so it's nice to have some liquid with me. But I found since I'm going, 2-hour bike rides, after the first hour, the drink is usually no longer all that cold and refreshing. I like a good cold drink. Very American of me. So, so I've experimented with different bottles, water bottles, and I've probably gone through 20 or so of those as well. Constantly adjusting. Thank you. Okay, so getting back on the trail now. That little intermediary area there with all the traffic makes me appreciate these trails all the more. So just switched to hill mode. Climb mode, I guess it is. Since basically from here on out, it's a complete climb. I've only gone up to Bridalveil Falls on this trail. I've never gone past. So, and I don't know how long I'll go today. I mean, I feel pretty good. Oh, it says climb completed. Beautiful ride though through here. Seeing all the fall colors. I'll probably talk a little less now going forward. It's interesting it hasn't gone back into climb mode. Even though I think this is steeper than that area down below. Trying to stay inside of that electric bike lady in the red. Boy, a lot of bumps. So another area I've been fiddling with is rear view mirror. It's good to be able to check and see who's behind you, who might be passing you, cars that are coming. So I bet I've tried 20 rear view mirror setups too. And the one I'm currently settled on is a clip that attaches to my hat or helmet. And that way I can leave my head up, just cock my head to the side, to be able to see behind me, instead of having to look down. Most of the ones I've used have attached to the handlebars, and usually on the end. And I still have one there, although it's not even angled properly now. So there's 10 miles, 13.1. Nice thing about this trail is, even though it's constant uphill since I entered the canyon, nothing's been hugely steep. It's very gradual and moderated. So, although I've slowed down, I'm still maintaining a pretty good pace. And haven't had an overly large amount of exertion. And just as I say that, there's a pretty good hill. Oh, I lost sight of my electric bike lady. Which is not surprising. She can more easily maintain her pace. Beautiful colors. Although I just looked up at the sky, looks like there might be a rain cloud coming towards me. Oh, there's the red lady. Gives me a little motivation. There's a little over 11 miles. Still no climb mode. Oh, it just went into climb mode. Don't know what's different here. I've never taken this spur before. Thank you. Beautiful area. Getting rained on. Climb complete. 151 feet increase. Beautiful. Wow. Never been up this far. There's 14 miles. I think I'll try for 15 and make it a 30-mile ride. I'll have to admit my bum is going to be a bit sore on this ride. I can tell. I haven't been riding as much as I usually do, maybe twice a week, and I took almost 2 weeks off. I was not feeling well, so I suspect the major part of the discomfort is just from a lack of riding. So there's 14 and a half, and I don't like the sound of that, so I'm turning around. If I want to hit 30, I could always add some extra on the end. Oh, we got a wind against us. That's why it seemed so easy. I was being pushed uphill by the wind. Wonder if I can beat the rain down the mountain. I don't think so. Wanted to take a couple pictures and get a drink. Wow, it's actually a pretty good headwind coming down. That's interesting. killing it coming uphill, but I think actually it's that the wind was pushing me. I mean, I do still feel pretty good, but God helped me. Thank you. Had to stop there and take some pictures. Of Bridalveil Falls, which is quite beautiful. They used to have a tram that would take you to the top, and I remember we would have dances at the top. Although I never went to any, so I kind of missed out on that whole thing. Girls buried in their phones. Nuns Park. Looks like I'm going to escape the worst of the rain today. I got a little bit, but that was just at the top when I heard that large thunderclap and turned around. The idea of getting hit by lightning does not appeal to me. interesting wall of rock up there, straight ahead. I mean, I've driven by it hundreds of times, but today somehow it seems very dramatic. Headwind I've got here. Okay, the last little hill here. Climb mode. 21 miles, 13.1. Hoping I can hit 14 miles per hour by the time I get back.